everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're going to be teaching you how to play Azul. Now, before we go any further, I do want to mention our sponsor, Board Game Co., which is a fantastic place to go and buy or trade for games like Azul. So over at Board Game Co., they have a nice, great selection of games with great prices where you can buy games, you can sell games to them, and you can trade games over on that website as well. So be sure to go check out Board Game Co., where you can buy, sell, and trade your way into a better collection. Also, I want to mention these t-shirts, and lots of the t-shirts you see around on the channel are from Mr. Meeple. Go over to their website. There's a link in the description below, which is good, or a code in the description below, which is good till about the end of September for you to get 15% off of t-shirts over on their website. So be sure to check that out. And now let's get right down to the table. I'm going to teach you how to play Azul. First, give each player a player board, making sure that the colored side is facing up. The gray side may be used as a variant, and the rules for that are covered on page 6 of the rulebook. However, whichever side the players play with, all players must choose the same side. Next, players take one scoring marker and place it on the 0 space of their score track. Place the factory displays in a circle around the center of the table. The number of displays is dependent on the number of players. The players would use 9 displays for 4 players, 7 displays for 3 players, or 5 displays, as you see here, for a 2-player game. Fill the included bag with 100 tiles, which includes 20 tiles of each color, making sure to keep the first player marker separate. The player who most recently visited Portugal will take this first player marker and then fills each factory display with exactly 4 tiles drawn randomly from the bag. Any unused player boards or factory tiles are returned to the box. Players win Azul by having the most points at the end of the game. The game will end after the round in which at least one player has completed a horizontal line of 5 consecutive tiles on her wall. Now, Azul is played over a series of rounds, and each round consists of 3 phases: the factory offer, the wall tiling phase, and preparing for the next round. When the factory offer phase begins, the starting player places the starting player marker in the center of the table and then takes the first turn. Play then continues clockwise. On a player's turn, she must pick tiles in one of the following 2 ways. The first option is to pick all the tiles of the same color from the factory offer and then move the remaining tiles to the center of the table. The second option is to pick all the tiles of the same color from the center of the table instead of from an offer. The first player to choose this option also takes the starting player marker and then places it on the leftmost free space of her floor line. Once the player has picked tiles using one of these 2 options, she adds all of the selected tiles into one of the 5 pattern lines. The tiles are placed one by one from right to left. If the pattern line already holds tiles, the player may only add tiles of the same color. So this tile could not go here, but it could go here. Once all spaces of a pattern line are filled, that line is considered complete. If the player still has additional tiles that need to be placed, these excess tiles must be placed in the floor line. After the first round, players must also keep in mind one additional restriction. The player may not place tiles of a certain color in a pattern line whose corresponding line of their wall already holds a tile of the color, as you see here. So instead, this tile could be placed here, for instance. You've heard me mention several times the floor line, which is found here. Any tiles the player has picked that she cannot or does not want to place must instead be placed in her floor line, filling its spaces from left to right. These tiles will subtract from the player's score in the wall tiling phase. If the player should ever be unfortunate enough to completely fill her floor line, any remaining tiles that will be placed in the floor line instead should be placed in the box lid. The factory offer phase ends when the center of the table and all factory displays contain no more tiles. The wall tiling phase can be carried out simultaneously by all players as they move tiles from their complete pattern lines over to their walls. The player works through her pattern lines from top to bottom, and moves the rightmost tile of each complete line to the space of the same color in the corresponding line of the wall. Each time a tile is moved, the player scores points immediately, and we'll discuss scoring shortly. After the rightmost tile of each complete line has been moved to the wall, the player then removes all remaining tiles from any pattern lines that have no tile in the right space. These tiles are placed in the lid of the game box. Any tiles in incomplete pattern lines remain where they are. So now let's discuss scoring. Each tile the player moves over to her wall is always placed in the space matching its color and immediately scores as follows. If there are no tiles directly adjacent vertically or horizontally to the newly placed tile, the player gains 1 point. If there are any tiles adjacent, however, do the following. Check if there are one or more tiles horizontally linked, as you see here, to the newly placed tile. If so, count all these linked tiles, including the newly placed one, and gain that many points, in this case, 2. Then check if there are one or more tiles vertically linked to the newly placed tile. If so, again count all these linked tiles, including the newly placed one, and gain that many points. As you see here, there are not, and so that no more points are gained. However, when this tile comes on, it will be worth 3 points. Keep in mind, if there are tiles linked both horizontally and vertically, the newly placed tile will be counted in both directions. So 1, 2, and 1, 2 for 4 points. Finally, at the end of the wall tiling phase, if the player has any tiles in the floor line, including the first player marker, she will need to subtract points. For each tile on the floor line, the player will subtract the number of points found directly above each tile. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4 total points are subtracted. Keep in mind a player may never drop below 0 points. Afterwards, place all tiles on the floor line in the box lid with the exception of the first player marker. This is instead placed back in the center of the factory displays. After the wall tiling phase ends, if nobody has completed a horizontal line of 5 consecutive tiles on her wall, then they will prepare for the next round. The player who had the starting player marker will refill each of the factory displays with 4 tiles from the bag, as in the setup. If the bag is empty, refill it with all the tiles that the players have placed in the lid of the game box, and then continue filling the remaining factory displays, and then start the new round. Also, in the rare case that the players run out of tiles while there are none left in the lid to start the new round, then they will simply play without the factory displays being properly filled. The game ends right after the wall tiling phase, in which at least one player has completed at least one horizontal line of 5 tiles. Once the game is ended, each player scores additional points if she has achieved the following goals. 2 points for each complete horizontal line of 5 consecutive tiles, so in this case, 2 points. 7 points for each complete vertical line of 5 consecutive tiles, so in this case, 7 more points. And 10 points for each color of which there are all 5 possible tiles placed on the wall. In this case, 20 more points. The player with the most points on her score track wins the game. In the case of a tie, the tie player with more complete horizontal lines wins the game. And if that still does not break the tie, the victory is shared. And that's how you play Azul. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out those links I mentioned in the description below. Be sure to find me over on Twitter at boredonlineboardoffline. Also, if you think Azul might be good for you or your gaming group, there's a link in the description below to purchase it as well. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.